I want to do this video because I seen a cool little post on Twitter, on X. They call it X. It'll always be Twitter. But anyways, um, where they were talking about, let me just pull this actual quote here. About the main objective for upcoming season. Um, this one dude, Lazarus, was commenting on Cool. Well, I actually agree with Cool on his point. Does everyone agree that the main objective of this upcoming season for the Detroit Pistons is to find out if Cade, Ivy, or Duran can not only play together but flourish together? Want to shout out, give Cool some love. I'm often on his top because he be tripping on a whole lot of posts, especially when you're talking about Ivy. But when somebody's right, gotta let them know they got it right. Except I don't think that that's the purpose of the entire season. And that's the point of this video, is that next season is going to be a two-part process. A two-part process. The first half of it is figuring out if those four can thrive. What's good, Marv? What's good, man? I'm back at it. The first half of the season, can Cade, Ivy, Asar, and Duran thrive together? Can they maximize their games together? Can they show that they can be as dominant as we all kind of have anticipated from the flashes that we've seen from Jaden Ivey last season, Cade Cunningham's All NBA, Asar Thompson looking like first team All Defense with some point forward in him, Jalen Duren looking like, as I keep saying, a top 10 center. Y'all seen the video posted about him shooting threes, looks smooth. Remember, he was shooting jumpers at Memphis as a freshman. Got a chance to shoot a few jumpers during summer league before his rookie year and during the rookie season. We all know the Monty Williams fiasco and then last year with JB Bickerstaff. And so hopefully there's an opportunity for him to get back to shooting. And we all know once he does, that's going to be a scary thought. That's going to be a scary thought. Jalen Duren not only able to knock down jumpers, but also able to take you off the bounce, post you up, catch a lob, get the dump off, offensive glass, out in transition. There's just so much he can do. But can they do it all together? That's the question. That's the question. My perspective has always been yes. Has always been yes. I see that the diversity of their skill sets is such that it makes them fit. It allows them to fit because they are so different. If they were very similar players, like almost like Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner, right? When they have a lot of overlap, it tends to kind of diminish their impact and doesn't necessarily allow them to maximize their ability to play at a high level together at the same time on the court. Think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, right? One guy is on, the other guy is falling back. The other guy steps up, the other guy falls back. But when you have a team of complements, think Rajon Rondo, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett. Very different players, extremely different skill sets. It allowed them to fit extremely fast. That's what they want to see in the first half of the season. And not just do their talents complement, not just can they play together at a high level, but can JB Bickerstaff unlock all their potential at the same time? Can JB Bickerstaff create an offensive system that allows each of these talents to thrive? Because one of the things that is extremely hard to do in the NBA is to compile the right chemistry, the right complement of talents on the court together to maximize what they can do collectively. That is the name of the game, right? The Indiana Pacers didn't get as far as they did because they had the best player on the court in every single series. They went as far as they did because it all fit together and they were healthy, right? But it fit, it worked. Each guy knew their role and each role complemented one another. So it allowed each of them to come off the bench, come into the game from the start, from the jump, and play their role at a high level, knowing that each one playing their role allowed them collectively to be better than the team in front of them. The whole Golden State Warriors strength in numbers, each one playing their role masterfully. And that's what they need to see if they can unlock in this roster. It's an extremely hard thing to do. It is extremely hard, especially when you're looking at salary, you're looking at trades, you're looking at getting the right guys on the right timeline. And to find out takes time. Indiana exuded self-awareness, like I haven't seen in a minute. Yes. I mean, their ability to play together reminded me of, like, San Antonio Spurs, Phoenix Suns with Steve Nash, just those teams that just gel, that just fall into place. That's what we need to see if the Detroit Pistons can do next season, but it's only going to be for half of a season, and please let me make that clear. It is only going to be for half of a season. The Detroit Pistons are not sitting back and saying, "Look, hey, you guys are gonna have till March, April to figure it out, and we'll get to the playoffs and hope for the best." That is not what they're doing. The Detroit Pistons are going to give this roster, this current rendition, especially this young core, probably to the trade deadline. Not even to the trade deadline, probably up and through December, October, November, December. They need to show that they fit with one another, namely around Cade Cunningham and likely also around Asar Thompson, because those are probably the two most irreplaceable talents on the team. Now, each one is an extreme talent in and of itself, but if it doesn't fit, if they're not able to play together, if they're not able to bring it all together and play with a level of trust with one another, to play your role, to maximize the talent you have around you, then they're going to have to go out and find that guy, because the reality is the way the league is shaping up, you don't have a large window for a superstar. You just don't. I know there's the whole Luka Doncic trade thing. That's an anomaly, right? Shaq getting traded, that's an anomaly. These guys don't move often, but they don't often stay after that first extension. I often said, and I've been saying this for years, that when you have a superstar player, you have your rookie deal, and then you have that first extension. But when they become an unrestricted free agent, the majority of superstar players are gone. You have to understand, they never got to choose where they wanted to be in their career, which is an anomaly throughout the world, except if you a slave somewhere, right? You're forced to work somewhere. All of us pretty much get to choose. Now we can go and we can look at and say, well, they're making a lot of money. You don't see CEOs having to make that decision, right? Ain't no CEOs getting traded or drafted, right? There's no Fortune 500 guy, who's the CFO, and all of a sudden he finds out, oh shit, I got traded to Milwaukee. This just doesn't happen. There's not a talented engineer coming out of MIT or Brown or something of that sort, and they're graduating in the top of their class, graduating magna cum laude, and all of a sudden they go, you know what? You just got drafted to Utah. Shout out to the Jazz. It just doesn't happen. But some reason we exclude it as if guys are supposed to be okay with it deep inside. That I'm starting my career, and for the next 4 to 6, 7 years, I didn't get to choose where I want to live, right? So by the time they get to that year before they're going to be an unrestricted free agent, when they can extend, if they don't, more than likely they're gone. More than likely they're getting traded, because the team already knows this guy doesn't want to be here. And it's not because they hate the franchise or the players and all, it's because they want to choose. There's not a single human being out here that doesn't want the freedom of choice. And that, for most of these guys, has been taken because of the draft. It gets taken when they get traded. And so you have to kind of balance out your idea or your long-term outlook of what you can consider for loyalty from a player. Now, Cade Cunningham, by all intents and purposes, is likely going to say, "Hey, I love it here in Detroit. I think it's a great spot. It's got a lot of great culture. It has a strong community there, a great fan base, a lot of pedigree, history. But who knows if he might want to go back home to Dallas? Who knows if he might want to be someplace else that's warmer? Shit, I mean, hey, I live in the Bay. We got some great weather down here. I don't want to be any place colder. I wish somebody would try to trade for me and go to Wisconsin. I wish somebody would. Shit. I ain't going where it's cold. Hell no. That's just me, right? But I have a choice. I have a choice. And so when you take the choice away, you have to recognize there's going to be a timeline, just how long you can expect somebody to really rock with you. All that's to say, the Detroit Pistons at the trade deadline, by the trade, like not at the deadline, before leading up to, they need to build this team around Cade to maximize his opportunity to win a championship in Detroit. He is going into year 5. He's on the clock. I should say the Pistons are on the clock. He's got 3 more years before you start talking about extending. 3 more years before you're talking about extending him, before he has that player option. And let me just double check. Uh, 3 or 4. Some players have a different opt-out timing. Let me just triple check. You know I like to triple check my stats. Y'all let me know if you can catch it before me. Usually use hoop reference or basketball reference. Let me see. Cade Cunningham. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right. He has a supermax deal. Got you. So he's got a 5-year deal. So you got about 4 years. If he's not extended by then, he's gone. And the only reason why they normally stay is if you're like a Giannis. If you're a Giannis and you won a championship, or you've gotten close to one. And that is the key right there. The second part of next season is showing Cade Cunningham you are committed to getting him there, beginning a legacy. That's why you stay in Detroit, for a legacy. But if you're not winning, nobody wants to end up as Damian Lillard. All right, let me caveat that. Dame has had an incredible career. Out of Oakland, California, drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers, right? Coming out of Weber State, came in and he balled out for them. And they surrounded him, supported him. He loves Portland for all intents and purposes. However, no one wants to be on a team that's never good enough to get there and use their best years betting on, hoping for, waiting for your organization to put a winning team around you. That's a terrible position to be in. To ask somebody to wait around, to trust, and to hope. And so, what this organization has to do in a short amount of time, really, they have a 2 to 3 year window, 2 to 3 year window to show Cade this team is headed in the direction of a chance to win a championship. I keep saying their window begins in 2 years, not next season, but the season afterward. Right. Let me get to some of these comments though. Let me see. Marvin. Speaking of the Pacers, I noticed they got their Jeff Foster yesterday. Yeah, I've always liked J Huff. Ever since I seen him last season, I was like, yo, this dude, like, he's nice. Like, I'm not saying like he's gonna be an all-star or anything like that. No. But how many 7'1" centers with that level of athleticism can also shoot threes, block shots, plays physical? It's a great find. Great find. I wouldn't be shocked if they also don't bring back in James Wiseman just to see what they got in him because they need some more size. They might bring back Isaiah Jackson as well, and potentially. I mean, there's somewhere in the Thomas Bryant, uh, Tim Bradley, or Tony Bradley type of wheelhouse. You know, they'll do it by committee. But it's to say that that was a great pickup, especially after Miles Turner bounced. With the rest of these comments. Wheezy was good, man. Oh nah, some players getting through in the fire, they're getting thrown in the fire this year, and I'm okay with it. And it's curated this time. Yep, yep. Grant Hill said the same thing. Facts about getting drafted. Don't nobody want to get drafted randomly, and you don't get to choose where you're playing at. So all that's to say, next season, this is what I fully expect. the Detroit Pistons to hit the ground running, which is why it's why, and this is also another part of this video. It's why they're not trying to bring in a major asset. They're not trying to bring in someone who they are going to have another wrinkle of adjusting the chemistry and seeing if these guys can play together. Look, Jaden Ivey is a 1B. He's a 1B. When it comes to being an elite scorer, he's a 1B. His ceiling is 27 to 32 points per game. That's his ceiling. That's the level of scorer he is. We haven't seen an athletic two guard like him, that type of speed and explosiveness and shooting ability in an extremely long time. In an extremely long time. He's going to be all right. No matter whether he stays, whether he goes, he's going to be an explosive scorer for the rest of his career, barring injury, knock on wood, right? Hopefully he comes back healthy from this previous one. Bring in a Laurie Markkinen. It doesn't make a lot of sense if you're trying to figure out if those four guys can play together. Because now with that wrinkle, you're now saying, well, you're bringing in Laurie Markkinen, who's getting paid more than just about anybody else outside of Cade Cunningham. So he's essentially your de facto number two, which now Jaden Ivey has to adjust to him. Duran has to adjust to him and Ivy and Asar. And now it puts a cap. It puts a hard cap ceiling, not just on the salary cap from an organizational standpoint, but in terms of their growth. They're not going to have the shot opportunities. They're not going to have the plays. They're not going to have the reps. They're not going to have the situations to be able to see what they can do if they can step into that moment and show just how good they are. Because now you have Markin in there. You have Markin in there. You have another guy who's going to take those moments. And I don't think Markkinen is good enough to take those moments. I don't. If he was good enough, Utah would have been building around him, not tanking year after year, looking for someone else to build around. That's just what it is, right? A guy who's been on three different teams early in his career is not a franchise player. Is not. That's just the reality. So when you guys look at some of these guys, if they've been bouncing around, no, we don't want Bradley Beal. No. No. I need y'all to sit tight. Sit tight. Let's talk about something else. Shoot, maybe just enjoy your summer. I know the off season is exciting, right? I love it. Shoot, the name of my channel is The Rock Never Stops. Shit, there's always something to talk about. However, it doesn't mean that we always need to say something. There's something to watch. I'm looking at Summer League casually because some of this basketball sucks, right? You got Bryce Sensabaugh balling out for Utah. Who cares? He's not a franchise guy. No one's going to build their team around Sensabaugh. He's never going to be anyone's number one option. So what are we really looking at? He's probably going to destroy the competition in Europe. Probably be league MVP. Doesn't look like he gets into the best shape though. Hasn't really rounded out his playmaking for others. So, I mean, if he was in great shape, he'd probably be J Dub, right? Playing defense and doing all the little things. He'd be J Dub, but he doesn't. So what are we talking about? Kyle Filipowski having a great summer league? So I don't really care. So I'm not talking about it, right? Some of these things we don't need to talk about. Bradley Beal, no, we don't need to talk about it. We don't. We really don't. Nikola Vucevic, what are y'all on? Get off the weed. Especially this new shit. This ain't like I'm from Cali. We used to have great. And then this new stuff, man, they're making this thing in the crack. I'm all right. Y'all need to get off it. Go breathe some fresh air. Talking about Nikola Vucevic for Isaiah Stewart. What is you on? What is you on? Some of these comments. Ron averaging 28 in summer league. I wouldn't be shocked if he did. But he doesn't even need to average 28. Honestly, I just want to see him play his game. I want to see him play more confidently, take those threes, look confident, play within yourself, but also show us what you showed us in the G League, right? Where he had a little mid range game. If you saw his highlights throughout the G League, he had a mid range game. We know he could rebound, play tough defense, get out in transition, passing lanes, right? Do you and just knock down some more threes. That's the main thing we wanted to see that you could work on. Maybe you got a little post game, right? Show us a little bit of that. I'm not even looking for efficiency from Ron Holland. Just show me your game is growing, you're building your skill, right? That's what Bobby Clintman. Bobby Clintman is the one I want to see. I'm only looking for two things from Bobby Clintman: rebounding, 3-point shooting. Yes, get out in transition. Yep, you're a really solid passer. I like that too. Definitely play defense. That's a given. All right. Show us great effort on defense. That's a given. We love your size at 6'10. But can you rebound and consistently knock down the three ball? If you can show us that, moving through these summer leagues, and then come into training camp and do that, you have an opportunity to carve out that ninth, 10th man off the bench role playing in that forward position behind Tobias Harris. I don't think you'll be directly behind him. I think that those minutes are going to get kind of staggered between Asar, Ron, Cade. They'll kind of do that power forward position by committee. But there's always moments of you're not trying to play a certain guy on a back to back. Somebody has a sore this, right? There's going to be those pickup minutes, a blowout game where the team is up or they're getting blown out, right? And now you need to put somebody in there. That's when I think you're going to have opportunity to see consistent minutes from a Bobby Clement. What I think about Bryce Williams, do you think he will get some summer league play? I think he will. Is he the one that's from the Dallas Mavericks? Is that who I'm thinking of? They had a Williams. No, they had Brandon Williams. Bryce Williams. I'm not familiar with Bryce Williams, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Be honest with you. 100% honest with you. Most of these guys on the summer league roster will never sniff the main team. Never. The vast majority of them. So even the guys that look like they're doing good, they're looking good for us. We're scouting them for our G League roster for a break in case of emergency G League call ups. He might be that, but he's not going to be a rotation guy. Chaz Lanier, he was our draft pick. We're going to give him a solid look. Um, I'm not sure if Tolu is. Somebody tell me is Tolu Smith on the summer league team, or did we release him or anything like that? Yes. Okay. So that's who I'm probably paying a little bit more attention to. Can he be that third center? And then B-ball Paul Reed, uh, be that third reserve, 12th man off the bench forward, or maybe positional situation center, right? But that's what I'm probably looking for. I'm not looking at the entire roster. Looking at Holland, looking at Clintman, looking at Smith. That's it. And to be honest, sometimes the play is so ugly. If I'm honest with you, I keep it a band with you. Sometimes the play is so ugly, I'll just peep some highlights. I want to see them moving like an NBA player, showing that they are clearly ahead of the rest. That's really what you're looking for in summer league. That you are just ahead of the guys that we know are not NBA players. That's what we're looking for. It's out of Nebraska. Check them out. I just might. I just might. Um, we'll see. But more than likely, he's headed to a G League team for a season, right? If we put Clintman in the G League for an entire season, Tolu Smith for an entire season, and Brandon Williams wasn't even drafted by us, there's a good chance he's in the G League for an entire season. Um, let me see. Yeah, Laurie is no 2 or 3. I want Asar to average 14. Laurie gonna be in the way. I want to see. I'm gonna be honest. I think Laurie Mark. Sorry, I think Asar Thompson can average what Amin Thompson did last season. If I'm honest with you, I think that's more than a starting point for my expectations for Asar Thompson. next year. And just to even pull it up, so I get these specific stats here. Amin Thompson put up last season. Remember, he wasn't in the starting lineup the full season. He put up 14, 8, and 4. 14, 8, and 4. By the end of the season, though, he was doing a whole lot more damage than that. He was doing a whole lot more than that. I expect Asar Thompson to be somewhere around 14, 15, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, over a steal and a block a game. And I expect his efficiency to be a lot higher. Free throw shooting getting closer to 70%. Um, his scoring around the rim to improve. His 3-point shooting to be somewhere over 30%. That's what I'm expecting from Asar Thompson. And also looking like first team all defense. That's what I'm expecting. And I think that when you combine that with the other talents on this team, I think it is something that, I'm excited about. I don't mind sitting and waiting for. I would hope that the rest of y'all don't mind either because most of the talents that people are bringing in don't compare to the talents that are already on this team. They just don't. Like Desmond Bain is good, but his talent is not greater than Jaden Ivey's. His ceiling is not that of Jaden Ivey's. He's just older. He's just more refined. Right. So a lot of these pieces that are moving, going in and out, are not more talented than what we already have. So next season is going to be a two-part. It's going to be one half. Let's see if these guys can really rock together. And the second half of the season, it's going to be all right. We know, we know what we can do with these guys. Now let's make our move. Let's start consolidating pieces. Let's start looking for that final piece to get us ready for a playoff run, just like they did last year, bringing in Schroeder. Right? They needed that ball handler. They will know exactly what they got in Sasser. Ron Holland. I think Ron Holland will have a little bit longer of a leash because he's still under that rookie deal. But they'll know if Sasser is their backup combo guard, which I hope. Hope he goes out there and he's an absolute bucket. Hope he's killing dudes. Man, I just want to see him snatch back threes, that little hezzy cross, step back for the little elbow. You know what I'm saying? Get a little floater game. Like I just want to see him get buckets. I love watching like dudes who can get buckets like that. I love watching that shit. Cause that was me. That's how I play. I love playing defense. Had a lot of speed. I love getting buckets. Just buckets. Just good old fashioned buckets. The creativity, the footwork, up and unders. The guys don't know which way you're going, what you're gonna do. They don't know you got a strong left. You can finish with your left and create with your left. You're a good passer. It's just creative. It's fun, bro. It's like being a painter on the court. I love to see it. So I'm hoping that he's on this team because just aesthetically, I want to see that. But we'll know by December. We will all know by December. Let me see. Let me get to some of these comments here. Let me see. Realistically, can we afford our core if they all develop and ball out? Yes and no. And I'll put it this way: even if Jalen Duran and Jaden Ivey ball out, and let's say they both end up being worth over 30 plus million, what you'll see is the Detroit Pistons sign them for the over 30 million, and what they will do from there is they will then trade them and split that contract between multiple players, giving them greater cap flexibility and ensuring that they retain depth and talent on the roster. They may not have that one guy who's that talented because he costs too much, but they'll play it out for as long as they can and then split the contract. That's likely what's going to happen. So when we look at these guys playing, it's going to be a win-win no matter what. Either they have a great asset to be able to flip and get some more talent, or they have a talented player who's going to be on this roster and a part of the core for the future run for a championship. So it's a win-win situation. Let me see. Bobby Clinton. Put on some muscle. I'm proud of, bro. For real? I haven't seen it. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. Is it on YouTube or you just seen a picture? Let me know in the comment section. I'll check him out because he definitely needed to get bigger. He definitely needed to get stronger. He's one of those guys. Honestly, he reminds me a lot of like a poor man's Jabari Smith Jr. He's a little bit more skilled than Jabari. Not as good defensively. He doesn't play as physically. But Jabari also had a similar trajectory where it took him a few seasons to get his body strong enough to actually play the brand of defense, but he just had a better defensive IQ, probably because his father played in the NBA and stuff like that, could walk him through and tell him stuff. But Bobby Clinton, if he gets stronger, I think that's going to lend to his ability to rebound better, set better screens, play a little bit more physical, and carve out some more playing time in the front court as well as on the wings. Let me see. Is it just me? What do you think about Bryce Williams? Yeah, yep. Commented on that. OKC does a good job of developing second round undrafted guys. Dort Wiggins, Jalen Williams all spent a year in the G League. That's very true. That's very true. So more than likely, when it comes to the Brandon Williams situation, not Brandon, sorry, Bryce Williams situation, I think that he will spend a year in the G League. Like, and that makes a lot of sense. Let him spend a year in the G League. Yo, do a great job developing them, right? Keep bringing in guards or players who are veterans to come in and contribute right away around this core. And then when those veterans like Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson, when those guys uh, begin to get a little expensive and aren't performing as well, you got this guy in the G League that you can bring in and kind of push them for minutes and eventually trade the veteran. Now you got that salary freed up. Maybe you get a draft pick from it, right? You get another asset and you replenish your ranks. You move up the guy from the G League to be your ninth, 10th man off the bench. Maybe you hit and that ninth, 10th man becomes your eighth man or seventh man, which is really what you're looking for when you have an undrafted player. At best, what you're really searching for is that guy can become a rotation player. He could become a Sam Merrill. He could become a Ty Jerome. He could become a guy who can play at the end of your bench, who can contribute a TJ McConnell, Ben Shepherd, right? He can be that guy for you and give you valuable minutes when you need it. And he's going to come at a cheap price. That's what you're really looking for. So we'll see. But that's going to be the general process. Weezy was good, man. Paul showed JB some. He gonna play with Stu this year. They both can shoot a little and move. They puppies. Yeah. Hey, they give great energy, great effort. I think they love them. If Bobby Clement doesn't, blow the coaching staff away during training camp or even summer league, expect Paul Reed to get an opportunity. Also, wouldn't be shocked if they went out and grabbed someone like Chris Boucher. Right. I also liked Trey Lyles. I'm not sure if Trey Lyles, if anyone has swooped him up yet. That's a name I've been keeping an eye out on. Trey Lyles. Let me see. The word is on him. 6'10 Canadian brother. Shoots threes, rebounds, plays good defense. Trey candidate. No, no, it doesn't look like anyone has picked him up yet. Kings could gift Warriors. Yeah, no. Yeah, we had Trey back in the day. Back when he was early in the league, he was still figuring it out. He's a real skilled guy, but before he could really play his game, he had to get his shot down. Now, yo, that boy is nice. Like Tr- Trey Lyles is what we hope Bobby Clintman can become. If I'm keeping it 100 with you, Trey Lyles is what we hope Bobby Clintman can become. Sasser's our McConnell. I remember Philly TJ too. Philly TJ was doing work just like he is now. Just like he is now. That's how he carved out that contract in Indiana. Shout out to him. That's basically how they built their depth. Yep. Bryce out of Nebraska. I'll check him out in a second. Can Asar be better than his brother? He was two-time MVP in uh, the G League. Well, not in the G League. That would have been the overtime elite. Uh, I don't know if he could be better. Let me think about that. Let me think about that. That is a strong because their games. Yeah, Trey Lyles is with the Kings right now, but I believe he's an unrestricted free agent at this point in time. Put up real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Keep the information on tap. Yep, he is an unrestricted free agent. Only made 8 million last season at 29 years old. 29 years old. So he is literally in his prime. He's looking to win. He's also looking to get paid. This is his last big contract of his career. It's his last. So he's looking to get paid. I don't know how much the Pistons would want to use of that 14 million that they have opened up with the Schroeder deal. But it's to say, I think that he will want as much as he can get. Period. And I don't know if we want to give it to him. But I do expect someone to give. If I'm honest, someone like OKC could really use him. They have other guys who are close, but he's extremely skilled. I think Trey Lyles would be great. San Antonio, just a lot of different players. He's a really high IQ player that does a lot for you skill wise, toughness. He can shoot it, he can pass it, rebounds, communicates. He just does so many things well. So definitely a valuable player. All that's to say, next season, two parts. First half up and through December. Can this core click? Can Cade, Ivy, Asar, Duran, right? Bobby Clinton, maybe Ron Holland, Marcus Sasser, Isaiah Stewart. Can these guys come together? Can they show that they can play at a high level with their talent on full display? If they can, they're going to double down on them. They're going to double down. Don't be shocked if they give out the extensions throughout the season. They just be like, all right, we've seen what we needed to see. Let's extend you. Right? They probably already got a number out there. I think Jaden Ivey wants somewhere north of 30. Wouldn't be shocked. He's out there like 32, anywhere between 32 and 35. If he's balling out, if he's averaging over 20, expect him to get the 35. If Duran is knocking down 16 to 18-foot jumpers, even if it's not super consistent, if he's doing everything else, finishing on the interior, setting good screens, not picking up silly fouls, defending the rim while making good reads on the dribble handoffs and attacking his man off the bounce, getting to the free throw line. If he's doing all those things that he showed in the playoffs and he starts shooting a jumper, expect him to get extended 30 million a year. He's 22 years old. He's 22 freaking years old. Yes, you extend him. And you'll deal with the cap, whatever after that. Right? Like that's when you're in the situation. More than likely, before they get rid of either of them, they'll be getting rid of Duncan Robinson and Karis LeVert. That's how they'll free up the playing time. I mean the cap situation. And then they'll bring up it'll still have Ron Holland, still have Marcus Sasser, still have Isaiah Stewart, and then they'll bring in veterans who could come in for $2 million. The Lindy Waters types, and guys like that, right? And they still have Chaz Lanier, so that's another valuable guy that's really cheap as well. So expect Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson to be the first two guys out if Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren are balling out and they look like they have to extend them for north of $30 million. But then after the mid-season, right around December, going into January, once they know, if they know this is our core and we're all in, expect a final move to be made. A final move. If it's look, if everything goes as planned. I mean, Marcus Sasser's balling out off the bench. The starting lineup looks crazy good, right? One of the most efficient starting lineups in the league, which they totally could become because they complement each other so well, have such diverse skill sets and so much potential there with positional size and whatnot, and defense and scoring explosiveness. And I did a video on that before of my expectations for this upcoming season. If they show all of that, Bobby Clinton is thoroughly in the rotation, playing like Trey Lyles, high IQ player who's getting rebounds and playing tough defense, playing physical, and Isaiah Stewart is healthy and doing his thing off the bench. And if everyone's doing their thing, If everyone's doing their thing and they like their roster, probably the last move you see is them bringing in a veteran for the playoffs, probably around the guard position. Just in case there's an injury, knock on wood, somebody hurts an ankle, but that's about it. It'll be a marginal move like that. It'll be someone on the periphery, right? Bringing in a DeLon Wright type of a guy. Yeah, I saw that video too, Ethan. I saw that video too. Him and Asar need to be getting work. Yeah, I mean, I guarantee you, that Asar is working on his shot. I guarantee you, he's working on a lot more than that. Because I keep telling you that him improving his jump shot is not the biggest step for him. The biggest step for him is getting his timing and his rhythm down for attacking the rim and finishing around the rim. If he becomes a better finisher around the rim, right? Because remember, we saw a whole lot of flashes, whether it was a little drive across the middle, turn around, pull up, jump shot, kind of fading away across the middle. Nobody can block it because he jumped so high. Uh, I'm getting choppy. Appreciate that. Letting me know. I'll try to stand still. Sometimes when I'm moving around too much, gets a little choppy. But thanks for letting me know. Uh, but all the different things that we saw from Asar Thompson last season and his rookie year, I think he more than showed us that if he can just put that all together, he's averaging 15 to 16 points a game, maybe 7, 8 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists. Just if he just gets minutes, if he gets a consistent 28 to 32 minutes a game, that's what he's putting up. A 15, 7, and 4 with 3 to 4 stocks, right? That's steals and blocks combined on good efficiency. That's a huge jump for these Detroit Pistons. That's a huge jump. If everything goes as planned, it's going to be a small move at the trade deadline. And then they're looking for a playoff run. That's what the second half of the season is going to be about. Tightening that rotation, playoff run. If for some reason someone in that starting lineup does not show they're ready to go, that they work, expect a big move to be made by the trade deadline. Likely a sign and trade, but they will bring in somebody to be that number two for Cade Cunningham for the playoffs. They will not let him walk into the playoffs again, having to carry the offensive load in the way that he did. Because for whatever reason, that was a terrible situation for him to be in. But if he has to do that again, it becomes egregious from an organizational standpoint. So Ivy is going to have an opportunity to show he could be the 1B. Star Thompson, can you be that Swiss Army knife point forward who just unlocks everybody, makes the game easy because you draw so much attention? You make such good reads on the floor when you're setting up and facilitating the offense. You're getting guys involved. You're creating turnovers and havoc on the defensive end, getting us out in transition. Can you make the game easy? During, can you be that force in the middle where you can consistently create offense for yourself while being a part of anchoring our defense? If those guys can do it, we're going to be special. We're not going to be nice. We're not going to be good. We're going to be special. We're going to be special. Right? The whole Nikola Vucevic's and all that stuff, man, get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. But if one of those guys is slipping, that's when you'll start to hear the Laurie Markkinen trade chatter. You'll start to hear some of these other guys, come up and expect the Pistons to make a move. Expect them to make a move. All right. But that's basically it. That's all I got for today, y'all. I'm glad I got a chance to get on here twice. Um, Shout out to Cool with his evaluation that next year is going to be about seeing if these guys can really play together at a high level. And when I say they, I mean the young core. But the caveat with that is it's just going to be for half a season. They need to prove it by December. If they haven't proven it by December, they're not going to give them the full season to prove it. They're going to get halfway through and then they're going to make their move because they want to start winning in these playoffs because the following year needs to be a championship window. They need to show that they are dedicated to that, to Cade Cunningham. All right. With that, it's your man 100 grand Ross with the Rock Never Stops. If you haven't already, please smash the like button for me. It really helps out the channel. It's a little thing, but it's a big thing. Subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. I definitely hope to see you next time. Also, hitting the like button lets the algorithm know that you enjoy doing interactive chats with me. Don't always get a chance to get to all of your comments, but if you send me a super chat, I always stop and pause and we can talk about it for a little bit. With that, you'll have a great evening, a good night's sleep. I'm gonna see y'all in the morning. And Friday, I believe it's Friday, is our first summer league game. So I'm definitely gonna be on for that. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.